Hey guys, so this is part 3 of how to make a fillacello pendant. In this video, I'm going to show you how to back a pendant, how to detach a disc flip from a hollow section, clean, and bail the pendant, and we'll be done. So I hope you enjoy. Now, you can attach a backing in a bunch of ways. People use solid glass and marble it down. I will use tubing and blow up a ball at the end of tubing, colored tubing, and I'll fuse them. So right here I have a little white section, a little section of white glass. Normally I'll have it attached to a tube of some sort, maybe like this, but right now I just have a perfect amount attached up to some 9.5 right here. So these guys will come together. When I do this, I'll have the flame right in between them, and because this is a ball, the very center of it will touch first, and then spread along it nice and evenly, and hopefully we won't end up with any air bubbles. So let's do this. I use a major flame, as large of a flame as I can get. It can just help speed things along, and it can also help you when you have a large face to attach to, such as right now I've got a pretty decent sized pendant. Alright, so now I give these guys a squish. They're all warm, squish, push them together until it touches all the way to the edge of every part of it. Now you use a small flame, and now you can either just pull away directly from here, or you can puff into it like so. What the puffing into it does, the puff and pull, is it thins it out. And it actually will just pop this guy right open really easily in the flame. Now, it was a little hard to see what happened in the flame there, but all that happened was that I thinned it out by heating where I wanted it to detach and pulling. And when I shot it with the flame was strong enough to actually pop open the glass. You can also use a blow tube connected to it, or a blow hose rather. You can have a blow hose connected to your tube, puff into it. But now, I'll be left with this little section on the bottom of my disc flip. I'm going to light it up so you can see it a little better. And sometimes you'll have a little extra glass there, sometimes you'll have a little less than others. Right now I've got a very small amount of glass there left. If I had a bunch of extra glass there that I left there, I might cut it off with some shears, but I'm not doing that currently. I'm going to just flatten down. I can use anything from a markering pad to a bowl push, but I'm going to flatten down what I have, a little bit of extra that I have around to this edging of my pendant. And you can do this in or out of the flame. Just doing it out of the flame. Just have a nice position. I can try to find myself a good position. But just warm this guy up. Give him a little flat. Make sure he's nice and flat. Now I'm going to go in. I might use a major flame, a larger flame, to get this process going a little faster. But what I'm going to do now is basically just melt this whole thing down. My next step here, connect up a punty to the backside, and then I'm going to rip off the clear on the top the same way that I ripped off my backing when I attached it. So I'm going to attach up my punty here, get a little cold tack going. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to shoot my flame right here where my pendant meets my clear. I'm going to heat that up, and then I'm going to puff into it and pull away. And in doing so, I'm going to thin out that section, making it easier for me to detach and having less work to do later on. Getting this guy nice and hot, trying my best not to hit my cold tack. I don't want to go anywhere near my cold tack. And I'll come out of the flame. I'll give this guy a puff and a pull. Like so. Now I'll come down, I'm just going to shoot in the flame and pull. And it should just detach itself, like so. If it doesn't, all you gotta do is poke the closed area and it will pop right open for it. So now, I got my pendant, and it's got all this clear on it. I wanna get rid of all that clear. I'm I'm going to shoot it with this big flame I got here. And I'm going to try really hard not to hit my cold tack. I'm just going to hit the face and mainly just focusing on that edge. Now I give it a little whip. You see? It'll open itself up a little bit, look like a little bit of an ashtray. That's what you're going for. I'll do this one last time. I'll get it nice and hot. And I'm going to take my shears here, my scissors, and I'm just going to cut off as much of the extra as I can. There we go. So I'll come here, cut, 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 cut. When using shears, make sure you don't cut cold glass or warm glass. You really only want to cut really, really molten glass, otherwise you'll ruin your shears. And I didn't get this guy super hot, so I'm just going to get about half of that going. I'll heat up the rest of it. Get that molten hot. I'll cut the rest of that clear off. But you know, I didn't get all of it, so I'm going to go in there and I'm going to top off a little bit more of that clear that I have around here. Just going around this circle. And the clear will move faster than your pendant, so you should be able to be pretty generous with your flame. And you won't disrupt your pendant too much. But the name of this game is not to disrupt your pendant, although you are melting and detaching the glass around it. So I got off most of that clear. It looks pretty good. It's pretty much a circle. It's not quite perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down there and just scoop off a little bit of the edging, a little bit of that clear, and that will leave me with a real nice looking circle.
Me to places I've never been, till you put me down. Oh, I knew you were trouble when you walked in.
So now I got rid of all that extra, and I'm just left with my pendant. Now a couple things I do here is I'll just warm this edge, get it a little cleaned up if there is anything wrong with it. Doesn't seem like there's anything wrong with it. I'll take my paddle here and I'll just roll it along my paddle, shooting the edge with the flame still. What this will do is round out anything that is even remotely a little bit not circular, not giving it too much pressure, just letting it roll across it like that, warming it up. Now, when I've done that, I'll check it out from the front, make sure there's nothing that I can manipulate. It looks like a pretty perfect circle at this point. Now what I'm going to do is hit the face. I don't hit the direct center because that's where my cold tack is, and I don't want to get that too hot. I'm going to brush my flame under this bottom part here where my paddle is touching. And I'll clean up that edge. Really all I'm doing is just melting it, and gravity will take care of it. As long as I get that lens hot, it should just melt nice and flat. If there is any part of it that you really don't like, you can take the paddle to it. And I'll actually use my L marker as well. Bring it into my L marker, like so. And then I'll hold my paddle almost flat to the pendant, but at a slight angle. To round it a little bit, make that perfectly flat and nice. You should end up with something that's pretty flat and perfect, but you never know, anything can happen. I'll just warm it up using gravity. Melt it down, make it look nice. So I got my pendant done for the most part. Now I just got to take another rod. I'm going to let this cool a little bit, and I'm going to decide which way I want it to sit. What's my top, what's my bottom, left and right, how I feel that it looks the best. You know, I'm going to wait for this to cool down to do it because I can barely see the pattern. So this is how I want it to sit. I'm holding it in the position that I want it to sit. Now I'm going to take this guy. And I'm going to cold tack up to the bottom of my pendant. Just like so. Oh, just like so. And then I'll come around here, give it a little tap, break off my cold tack. You're left switching my axis. Now I'll go clean up where my cold tack was. Wherever my cold tack was will leave a little sharp spot. And you don't want that. So we're going to melt that down. There's a lot of ways to make a bail. For this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a full rod of color. And I'm going to take my full rod of color, I'm gonna heat up the end. Not really gathering up much of a huge ball or anything, but I'm gonna gather up a little bit of a ball. And then I'm gonna attach these two, fuse them together. And when I do this, I wanna try to make sure that it's nice and straight and I get the best fusion I possibly can. Now I'll stick these together, fuse them up. These guys will seal. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat up right above where I just sealed those guys. I'm going to gather up a little ball by pushing a Maria. I'll push, 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 and gather up a little Maria. You can also spin the glass, however you want to do it, you just gather up a ball. Now, you'll barely be able to see it in the light, but I gathered up a nice solid ball on top. Now I'll detach that ball. Also know I'm using my new color, purple lollipop as the bail. So now I'm going to gather up this ball a little bit more evenly. Just get a nice sphere going. And now there's a couple ways to do this step. You can either, there are a couple ways that you can do this step. You can either squish it using some clamps, like so, or you can use a paddle of some sort, and a table paddle, or a markering pad on your table, or an L marker that you have on your torch. So gather up a ball, a nice even ball. I'll go give them a squish. However you want to do it, but now I've got myself a nice little flat disc. Now that I have that little flat disc, I'm going to connect up a little punty to the end of that flat disc, and I'm going to heat up the whole flat disc, really mainly heating up right next to my punty. And I'll take that circle and I'll pull it into much more of an oval. Now I'll go forward and come back a little bit, bringing them down, and I can warm them. I'm talking, so I'm going a little bit slow, so you can technically do this all with one heating. But I can go back in the flame and warm this up just a little bit, proceed with my bowl, bring this down, and you'll see it become much more of a loop. Now in there, you'll end up with a little bit of a 90-degree angle or so, or some sort of angle there. You can shoot the flame right in that V, get that hot, just like so. Shoot that flame right in that V, and then just push in and touch and pull away. And that should get you a nice connection. Now you can, if you feel like you don't get a good enough connection, or you just want to manipulate it a little bit, you can always push them in the right direction, give them a little squish, try to get that connection a little bit better, a little fatter. Now from there, I just make sure that where I connected that, where I just brought that down, it's nice and thick and melted together as one piece of glass. So you won't be able to see in the video, but right there, just make sure that back side gets real melted in. And now I'm going to go across the whole thing. It's pretty much done. Right now, everything I'm going to do is pretty cosmetic. It's just to make it look the way I want it to. So just warm up the whole bale. I'll just tap. I like to hang it upside down. It can help. Tap and spin, flip, tap and spin. Make sure that it's a nice circle. Sometimes I'll warm them up. I'll give them a little pull with my tungsten, so I'll get my tungsten in there. Pull up straight, making sure that it gets a nice little shoulder, making sure that it's straight. There we go. And that's my my pendant. Now I'm going to take my tweezers here, grab onto my bail, break it off. Now I'm going to clean up the cold tack that I'm left with on the bottom. Now I'll round out. If for any reason there's some sort of chip or anything, which this one doesn't have, but if there's anything wrong with it that you don't feel like it's a perfect circle, roll your piece across it, and you should be good. You're just going to warm them up again, make sure it's nice and warm. The last thing I always do is touch the flame to the glass, not the tool. Tools will always leave marks. There we go. I got myself a little pendant. Let me see if I can.
Between the cameras flashing, I guess that it had to happen. The negatives to the perfect.
Thank you guys for watching, and please find me on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and everything like that. Have a good one. I hope you enjoyed it.